Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm. This is Wisdom of the Sage, is a daily yoga podcast with your host Raghunath and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha. Welcome to our show. Welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam show. We've taken a sacred literature of ancient India and turned it into a show. And why not? It's entertainment. It's funny. It's deep. It's life-changing. It's life-altering. It's paradigm-shifting.
Like every good show should be.
Yeah, it's a good show. And today is, well, we tried to start Tuesday as Trivia Tuesday.
We have not pulled that off yet.
We've not pulled it off yet. Do you have any trivia?
Mary,
you got any trivia?
What we need to do is we need to get someone that's kind of well-acquainted with the whole thing. Like well-acquainted meaning like they've studied this for a long time.
Yeah. And
that listens every day. And we just need to empower them to like pick out some questions from the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's
how about what is the name for Yudhisthira? That means one who has no enemies.
Mm-hmm.
First person to get it on the message board gets blessings. Oh, no one did it yet. Thought that would be.
There you go. Paramananda. Boom.
Paramananda. Okay, good. Ajata Shatru. One who has no enemies.
How about this? What does the name Yudhisthira mean, literally?
Mara? Oh, I know. I know that one. Just got to make sure I knew.
Provost, something about war and stability.
That's it. That's it, right?
One who is steady in combat.
Steady in battle.
Yeah.
Good. Dharma something. That was good. All right.
Dharma something.
Okay. We can get one more out of this, Kaustubha.
All right.
Mara, you got one in your head?
No.
No. I'm trying to think what we've been reading. It was too much dead air. Think of one, Kaustubha.
Okay, you start talking, I'll think of one.
Okay. So anyway,
What's
yesterday.
your favorite color? That's right. What was Yudhishthira's favorite color?
Sadhu Orange Pro said. Anyway, welcome to the show. This is a show of studying this is a show of trying to quiz people. It's a quiz show. That's our next podcast, a quiz show.
A game show?
Yeah. Gave away valuable prizes. I always wanted to be on a game show.
Okay.
Did you? When you were little?
I don't remember thinking like that.
Yeah. Okay.
I remember thinking how absurd I thought the whole thing was.
I never thought it was absurd. I always thought it was like, what a chance. What a chance of a lifetime. My next door neighbors were on Wonderama. Do you remember what Wonderama was?
I vaguely remember that. Is it a kids thing?
It's a kids game show.
Yeah.
Anyone remembers what Wonderama was? No New Yorker kids?
I just remember when I was a kid, I would see that television show, The Price is Right.
Another classic.
And I remember when people would win, how they would just like start to, I don't know if they tell them to do this, but they would just start jumping and screaming and be in the state of like
ecstasy. Transcendental. It's like what it must be to be like a liberated soul.
Well, I would think to myself, what? This is crazy. Like if their response is not appropriate to what had just happened here, Like they want a new refrigerator and they're behaving like this.
I know. I'm looking at my wife. Would we be that happy if we want a new refrigerator?
He was in the audience of A Price is Right.
My wife was in the audience of Price is Right.
Was it? Did they coach you to?
Did they coach you to dance or anything?
Yeah, it's prompted.
It's prompted on the screen. She says, "Dance, dance, be very excited."
But did they tell you that if you win, you're supposed to go crazy, or is it just that people get like intoxicated by the whole thing? And
she doesn't know about that.
Right.
They didn't give her that much info.
All right, let's get going
Right.
here, Raghunath.
Okay.
Huh?
Well, it's all the Bhagavatam.
I'm not sure.
That's
To be
the
honest,
Bhagavatam too.
I'm
Is
not
not
sure
to
that-
be too excited about material success
That's my
or
point.
material fortune.
That's right.
Right.
Even mine.
Your
Right?
refrigerator and your range.
Yeah. What if you win the showcase showdown or whatever the thing is that they call it?
They always had a trip to Acapulco. It's like everybody in Acapulco was from The Price is Right, I think. Okay, let's get on with this. All right, we're at a good place. We're at
But
more
we're gonna have to
omens.
chant the
Kaustubha.
invocation, Raghunath.
Oh yes. So before we start, we chant the invocation to the Bhagavatam himself. Are you ready for that? It's a little ditty, and it goes something like this: Narayanam namaskritya naram shaiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jaya mudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service to the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Gyanatamanandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Milatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Bhakti, the price is right.
What is the price for bhakti?
There's
a trivia question.
Right. Yeah.
What
What's
is
the
the price of bhakti?
What is the price of bhakti? Who's going to get that question?
Ramananda? Now, there's supposed to be some music, right? Dun, 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 dun. What's the price of bhakti? Dun, dun, dun.
What is mercy? Greed? What is
You
greed?
got it. That's it. It's a
Greed?
greed for it. Yeah, it wants intense greed for it.
Surrender.
One needs to just really want it.
Yeah. To lose your material mind. No, that's the payoff, Tamara.
Yeah.
That's the payoff. You lose your material mind. All righty. So we are on Canto 1.
Chapter 14.
Chapter 14.
Text number 19 as we continue with the inauspicious omens.
Yeah. Good morning. More inauspicious omens. Oh, yeah, we all left off. This is where you cut me off last. The calves do not suck the teats of the cows. And you're like, stop there. I was like, come on, you can't leave me on teat. The calves do not suck the teats of the cows, nor do the cows give milk. They are standing, crying, tears in their eyes, and the bulls take no pleasure in the pasturing grounds. The deities, this is a scary one. The deities seem to be crying in the temple. Isn't that sort of scary?
Yeah.
Lamenting and perspiring. They seem about to leave. Imagine seeing deities that are crying and they want to leave. Like the deities are trying to get off the altar.
Mm.
All the cities, villages, cows, towns, gardens, mines, and hermitages are now devoid of beauty and bereft of all happiness. I do not know what sort of calamities are awaiting us.
Do you remember that time? It was sometime in the 90s where there was this phenomenon going on. And
It was like the end of the world.
No, that the deities of Ganesh in temples all around the world were drinking milk.
Yes. This was a thing. If you were around in the 90s, you know what I'm talking about. All the Ganesh deities in the world were drinking milk. It was like an international phenomenon. No one could figure out. I don't know if it was true. I didn't have a Ganesh deity at the time.
Yeah.
But it was like, my deity drank milk today.
Yeah. Everyone was even filming it, right? They're putting up little spoons of milk to Ganesh deities. Anyway,
that's good.
Figured that would be the kind of thing that you were into.
I was, but not crying deities. I wouldn't be into the crying deities. The deities, okay. I think that all this earthly disturbances indicate some greater loss to the good fortune of the world. The world was fortunate to have been marked with the footprints of the lotus feet of the Lord. These signs indicate that this will no longer be. O Brahmana, Shaunaka, while Mars Yudhisthira, observing the inauspicious signs on the earth at that time, was thus thinking to himself, Arjuna came back from the city of the Yadus, which is Dwarka. When he bowed at his feet, isn't that nice? A younger brother bows to his older brother.
Mm-hmm.
I never get that from my younger brother.
Yeah, do you do it to your older brothers?
No, I don't. Definitely don't. We should do that next time on Christmas Bridge. Bow down to my older brothers. Seeing our... When he bowed at his feet, the king saw that his dejection was unprecedented. His head was down and tears were gliding from his lotus eyes. Arjuna's crying.
He lost his best friend.
Seeing Arjuna pale due to his heartfelt anxieties, the king, remembering the indications of the sage Narada, questioned him in the midst of friends. Mars Yudhisthira said, My dear brother, please tell me whether our friends and relatives, such as Madhu, Bhoja, Dashara, Arha, Satvata, Andaka, and members of the Yadu family are all passing their days in happiness. By the way, anyone having a baby, there's a lot of pregnant ladies out there right now. These are some good names you could use. Madhu, Bhoja, Dashara, Arha. You like that one?
I suppose. I don't know if they're at the top of anyone's list, but okay.
Arha's not at the top of the list. Come on.
I guess if
Bhoja, little baby Bhoja. I always ask Bridget, can we name one of the children Bunky Bihari? She was always like, no, it's not going to go over good in school.
I thought it was Mukkanlal or something.
Oh, Mukkanlal. I wanted Mukkanlal. I was pushing for Mukkanlal and Bunky Bihari. Both were never accepted.
Just one
Is my respectable grandfather Surasen in a happy mood? And are my maternal uncle Vasudeva and his younger brothers doing well? So now Yudhisthira's probing. What's the matter? What's going on? Why are you sad, Arjuna? His 7 wives. Vasudeva had 7 wives.
Okay.
Wow. His 7 wives, headed by Devaki, are all sisters. What? He had 7 sisters?
It's a different world, Raghunath. Just let it be.
All right. Are they and their sons and daughters-in-law all happy? Are Ugrasena, I can't even imagine that, and I'm not going to imagine that. I'm just going to keep going to the next verse. Are Ugrasena, the son, are Ugrasena, whose son was the mischievous Kamsa, and his younger brother still living? Let me ask you a question. So how's Ugrasena related to Surasen? They were brothers?
Oh, God. Now you're throwing that kind of quiz question at me. I'm not good with that.
You know that one, Mara? Anyone know that one? Surasen. Anyway, I'm just going to keep going. If you know that, please put that on the board. Our Ugrasena, who is the son of the mischievous Kamsa, whose son was a mischievous Kamsa, and his younger brother still living, are Hridika and his son Kritavarma happy? Are Akrura, Jayanta, Gada, Sharana, and Shrutajit all happy? How is Balaram, the personality of Godhead and the protector of the devotees? How is Pradyumna?
Ho. Slow it down there, Raghunath. We just mentioned Balaram here, right? It's Krishna's brother.
Yes.
But we can note here that here it doesn't, like he's asking about all these people, but when he mentions Balaram in the translation, it mentions Bhagavan, right?
Right.
That he's not an ordinary person, but that Balaram is an expansion of Krishna. He's Vishnu Tattva. He is Krishna himself in another form. Right? And so Krishna's, like all his pastimes in Vrindavan, he's accompanied by his brother, Balaram, but who's just another manifestation of himself, but at the same time he's an individual. And Prabhupada, he writes in the commentary here, he says, Śrī Rama or Balarāma is the protector of the devotees of the Lord. So this is the first, kind of expansion, energetic expansion, from Krishna in one sense. Baladeva acts as the spiritual master of all devotees. And by his causeless mercy, the fallen souls are delivered. So it's said that the guru, or the act of transmitting spiritual knowledge, is originally, that is the energy of Baladeva. That is Krishna's energy. Śrī Baladeva appeared as Śrī Nityananda Prabhu, right? During the advent of Lord Caitanya.
So if you're new to this whole thing, this is a very interesting little side
Yeah, we should
point.
talk about this.
Yeah.
Okay, so that it's saying that Krishna comes in the age of Kali 500 years ago as Śrī Caitanya. And Krishna appears as Śrī Caitanya because Krishna himself wants to know what it's like not to be the object of bhakti, but to be the one feeling bhakti in their heart for Krishna. He sees that actually there's actually more transcendental ecstasy in feeling love for God than being God and being loved. And so what is that experience like? So he comes as a devotee, meaning that he accepts the mood of Radha, the greatest of all devotees, but in the form of Śrī Caitanya, right? And then along with him, Balaram comes, his brother Balaram comes as Nityananda. And so often these two are worshipped together and spoken of together, Chaitanya and Nityananda. But and it's said that when you see Krishna playing as a boy, the mood is sweetness, right? That's his predominant mood. And then when Krishna comes as Śrī Chaitanya, it's the same person, but his mood is predominantly, mercy and compassion. So he comes to experience what it is to be a bhakta, to be a Bhakti-yogi, to hold love for Krishna in his own heart. But he also comes with that. We can understand that how that manifests is also in a mood of compassion. And so he shares and it says that Nityananda is even more compassionate, even more merciful, like the most merciful manifestation. And so you can read the pastimes of Nityananda in Chaitanya Bhagavat and in books like Chaitanya Bhagavat or Chaitanya Charitamrita, and very important. But here Prabhupada wanted to highlight that idea of one person sharing this wisdom and this mercy with another, this transcendental knowledge with another, that is the energy of Baladeva. That's the energy of the first expansion of Krishna. He says Śrī Baladeva appeared as Śrī Nityananda Prabhu during the advent of Lord Chaitanya, and the great Lord Nityananda Prabhu exhibited his causeless mercy. There's one great example, right?
Yeah.
The biggest example.
By
delivering a pair of extremely fallen souls, namely Jagai and Madhai. Therefore, it is particularly mentioned herein that Balaram is the protector of the devotees of the Lord. By his divine grace only, one can approach the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. And thus, Śrī Balarāma is the mercy incarnation of the Lord, manifested as the spiritual master, the savior of the pure devotees.
Do you know the famous quote by Nityananda, Nitai?
The famous quote?
There's a famous quote. What happened? They were chanting, and one of the drunkards smashed Nityananda in the head with a pot. His whole face was bleeding. And he said, forgive my Bengali here. Forgive my Bengali, Pradeep. We have a Bengali with us here. He says, Mere chish koshe kanna tai bole ki prema debona, which means, shall I stop giving you love because you have hit me in the head with an earthen pot?
Where did he say that? Where's that from?
Where does he say it? I don't know.
Okay.
I just researched it.
Okay.
What do you think about that? Anyway, these are historical figures that actually changed the course of, hey, if you try to study Indian philosophy, Vedic Varnashram, Sanatana Dharma, it's confusing. If you feel like I'm actually learning something here on Wisdom of the Sages, I got news for you. you owe it to Lord Chaitanya, basically. He sort of broke it down, prioritized, made it easy access, sort of like understand the Vedas for dummies, basically. I am very qualified as one of the major dummies here. And I was hitting a wall. The more books I read about Hinduism, Eastern philosophy, how to worship a deity, metaphysics, reincarnation, the more lost I became in that house of mirrors. Ever go into one of those glass houses? You're just feeling around like, is this the way out? Is this the way out? How do you get through this thing? But when it was explained by the followers of Lord Chaitanya, he made it very, very simply, just broke it down and made it sort of easy access. And that's why even newer people on the show, they can make heads or tails of it more than sometimes people have been around for years trying to study this stuff. It's confusing. There's 33 million demigods. There's Krishna, different avatars of Krishna. And then another thing that Caitanya and Nityananda were famous for is they sort of like dismantled or sort of like put the kibosh on the whole caste system and said, it's a material thing, but ultimately we're not material. We're above the material. We're spiritual. So there's certain material things that are that are used in society, but ultimately they have nothing to do with what we actually are. And that caused a whole ruckus too. Just a ruckus.
Just a ruckus.
Just a ruckus.
Can you tell us a little bit about Jagai Madhai? Tell us a story, Raghunath.
Well, I just told it, sort of.
No, you didn't.
They were chanting. They were chanting in the streets.
Who was chanting in the streets?
Lord Nityananda was chanting in the streets.
Nityananda and Haridas Thakur, they would go out every day, right?
Yeah, they'd go out every day. Now, if you've ever done this, by the way, sometimes people like kirtan, going to a kirtan. I know we have people on here that lead kirtans. Jeff Eisenberg has always got a kirtan going. And sometimes you'll do it at a yoga studio, and it's like, yeah, cool, kirtan. I heard our yoga studio does a kirtan. Very nice. And then something is different when you take that kirtan publicly, isn't it? The first time you've ever gone to a public kirtan where you're outside, it's called Nagar Sankirtan. It means you're doing it out in the Nagar, in the village. It's a little bit confronting, especially in the West, because people are thinking, who are these weirdos? Or, oh, how cool. Whatever it is, it's completely challenging your ego at all. It rips your ego down. And especially at this time in India, which was under like Mughal rule, it was actually sort of forbidden. And it was...
You know what else I've heard about that too?
What?
Is that at this time in the history of India, that because this Muslim, kind of takeover of India, of or at least the large parts of what is now India, and it was a very violent. It basically was terrorism, like how they took over.
They came in, they took over, and they terrorized.
And they were ruling. And amongst Hindus, there was certain people felt that the Bhakti philosophy, with its sentiments of kindness and tolerance and so on, that's the problem, right?
Right.
And so, we need to fight this. We need to get intense about this. And so these certain kind of tantric, edge kind of that grew out of that was very tamasic. And it was meant to kind of culture a type of callousness and even violence in response. And the Jagai Madhai were all about that. These were people that kind of cultivated that inner kind of callousness and cruelty. And so they were particularly intolerant of any kind of spiritual teachings, or like Vaishnava teachings, Bhakti teachings. And so, Haridas Thakur and Nityananda are going out every day and just saying, take this holy name. It will transform your life. And when Nityananda goes to those two, everybody knew that those two were just the absolute worst, right?
Right.
Like for kicks, they would light people's houses on fire and watch them burn. They
Just
were like
for kicks. Yeah, they were like that.
They were very, extremely cruel, just horrible, nasty people. And Nityananda said, well, then I'm going right there. And why am I going right there? Because if they can take up this path of bhakti, well, then that'll show just how merciful Sri Caitanya is, right? that he's reaching out to everyone, and I'm his representative. I'm going to go and I'm going to approach them. So what happened when he approached them, Raghunath?
You know what? I'm just going to sit back here and listen to you tell the story because you're doing such a damn good job. And I'm just like bumbling over my words this morning. Please tell the story.
Well, I'm not, some people are so good at telling these stories. I'm not one of those people, right? If you get
You're doing
Radha
great. You're doing great. You're doing great.
Okay.
You're doing great.
So when Nityananda's going up and Haridas Thakur and Nityananda, they were like a partners. They would go out together, right? Haridas Thakur is older, incredibly saintly. And Nityananda Prabhu was like wild in his spirituality, right? He's always just like, he's jumping on crocodiles and getting them to chant, and he's going, they're getting chased down the street all the time, like
they're getting chased and they're still like laughing and giggling and chanting.
Yeah, especially Nityananda is chanting and laughing and giggling, and Haridas Thakur is like, are you trying to get us killed here? And so when Nityananda goes up to Jagai and Madhai, these two most violent, dark characters, was it Madhai? I believe it was Madhai who.
Madhai got hit in the head.
Madhai
threw the earthen pot. I'm sorry.
He picked up like a clay pot and he just smashed it into the forehead of Nityananda. When it smashed him, he was just, blood was pouring down. But his response to that, first of all, just the word immediately spread, and Śrī Caitanya knew, and Śrī Caitanya was coming and was about to appear on that scene, right? And Śrī Caitanya was furious.
See, we're allowed to be angry when another devotee is hurt, but for ourselves,
it's natural.
We're tolerant. We're tolerant and say, this is my bad karma.
Yeah. So Śrī Caitanya was furious. Nityananda was not only tolerant, he was full on compassionate, and he even said, hey, first of all, he said, this is not because Śrī Caitanya, he manifested it. Normally, Śrī Caitanya was not manifesting as Krishna in any way or as Vishnu in any way because he wanted to feel devotion for Krishna. But in this moment, he manifested the Sudarshan Chakra, right? This
mystical, that's the fiery wheel.
From he could hold this on the finger. And so he's got this up like that. Some incredible paintings of that, right?
Yeah.
And he's about to just send it at Madhai. And Nityananda saying, this is not the reason why you've incarnated. If everyone who's demoniac in this age, if we were to kill them all, there would be nobody left, right? So we're here to just spread that mercy. That's your mood. That's why you've come, just to spread your mercy. And by the way, when I think he said that Jagai kind of tried to stop him from hitting me with that pot, right? And then Śrī Caitanya became, his heart softened so much. He said, and then I grant you pure love of God. I grant you prema. If you would do that to protect my devotee, then I grant you pure love of God. And then Madhai saw that. And he said, I want that too. When he saw that his brother was in devotional ecstasy, then he said, I want that too,
So the Jagai, for trying to stop it, he got blessed and he became incredibly blissful. And then Madhai wanted it, please give me that blessing. Why aren't you going to give me that blessing? Don't kill me. Give me that blessing like you gave my brother.
Yeah. And so it becomes, an example, but like how Nityananda, and again, here he's being identified as he's Krishna's original expansion who's come to give this path, this mercy, these teachings and so on. What were his teachings to Jagai Madhai? They seem unqualified, right? As a matter of fact, they're not only disqualified, they appear to be the most disqualified people possible. When it comes to dented cans, they were crushed cans, right? They were just like the worst. But Nityananda's, his teachings to them, what he asked them was just stop causing harm to others, be humble and grateful, live a pure lifestyle and chant these names of God, right? And if you do that, it doesn't matter what your background is. This process will work for you. It'll transform you. And that instruction is mentioned in the very beautiful song by Narottam Das Thakur.
Sing it.
Which I believe was one of Prabhupada's favorite songs. But that song, Hari Hari Bifale Gano Janamayanu. I'm really bad at that. But in that song he says, that song is basically saying, I've wasted my life. Let me pull up that song. All right. and we'll get to that instruction. Let's go. You ready? You want to go into that song, Raghu? You with me?
Sure.
Okay.
I love that song.
Hari Hari Bifale Janama Ganai Go Nayunu. Right.
I can't pronounce this song well.
That's that word always trips me. Oh Lord Hari, oh Lord Hari. This is one of these songs that's it has part of that. Often Narottam Das Thakur was just one of the greatest of all the saints in the Vaishnava tradition. And he wrote a lot of beautiful songs. And sometimes these Bengali songs, like Raghunath is into the Hindi bhajans, right?
Yeah, I like the Hindi bhajans.
And the Hindi bhajans are kind of like
they're all happy.
Party, yeah.
Krishna is sweet. He's wonderful. He's naughty.
Yeah.
He is naughty. And the Bengali ones are a little sad, like, I'm so fallen.
Yeah, a lot of the Bengali songs.
I have wasted my life. Where is Krishna?
So he's singing, oh Lord Hari, oh Lord Hari. I have spent my life uselessly. Although I have obtained a human birth, I refuse to worship Radha and Krishna. In this way, I have knowingly drunk poison. Right? What have I done with my life? And then he says this. He says, Golo Kera Premadhana, Harinama Sankirtana. That the treasure of love of God is descended from the spiritual world of Goloka Vrindavan, right? Appearing in this world as the Sankirtan movement of the chanting of these names, as the holy name. Why was I not attracted to it? You know, day and night I burned in the poison of material existence, but still I refused to take the antidote, right? These names, you know, that are non-different from Krishna, that are just absolutely pure spiritual potency. I wasted my time doing everything else, right? And then the verse that I was talking about, Brajendra Nandana Jay, Sachi Sutta Hoilo Se, Balaram Hoilo Nitai, Lord Krishna, the Prince of Vraja, has appeared as Sri Caitanya, the son of Sachi Devi, and Lord Balaram has appeared as Lord Nityananda. The most fallen and degraded, right? Jagai Madhai. It says Dina Hina Jata Chilo, the most fallen and degraded, Harinama Udorilo. They were lifted from their fallen condition by the chanting of these names. Tara Shakshi Jagai Madhai. Shakshi means like witness, right? You can see that in the example of Jagai and Madhai.
You can see that in the example of our own lives.
Yeah.
To the degree that I put the holy name, put Krishna in my life, it transforms my life.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter how fallen we are, how low we are, where we're coming from. You know, I think we've got our 12-step thing going. I think people get to that point in the 12-step thing, right? They're like, what have I done? I've knowingly drunken poison. How have I wasted my life? And so Narottam Das Thakur, he's singing from that point of view, right? That I've wasted everything. But simply by just this order, you know, take God's names, you know, live a simple, pure life, be humble, and take these names and chant them. And in this way, the two notorious gangsters, Jagai Madhai, you know, all for the rest of their life, all they wanted to do was serve, you know.
They were gangsters. They were sort of like gangsters. You know, I never looked at it like that. They always call them the fallen, the drunkards. They were like gangsters.
Yeah. Even kind of worse.
Imagine going up to a couple gangsters and going, "Hey," that's what it was like.
Yeah. So they were changed, you know, by that, and so the idea is that we can be changed too, and that Nityananda is Balaram, is Krishna's potency of guru, of sharing transcendental knowledge. Right? Okay. Anyway, so Balaram was mentioned in that verse, so I just thought let's bring that out. Prabhupada mentioned in the commentary. Shall we continue?
Yeah, I'm lost. Where were we? How is Pradyumna?
Balaram
30. We're on 30. How is Pradyumna, the great general of the Vrishni family? Is he happy? And is Aniruddha, the plenary expansion of the personality of Godhead, faring well? So basically, he's saying, how is Krishna's family doing? You were just with Krishna and all of his extended family and his sons.
Yeah.
Right?
But he knows.
Why are you sad? What's going on? He can sense something's off here. Yeah. Are all the chieftain sons of Lord Krishna, such as Shushena, Charudeshna, Samba, the son of Jambavati, Rishabha, along with their sons, are they all doing well? And there's also Shrutadev, Uddhava, and others, ones who are like Krishna's friends with. Nanda, Sunanda, and the other leaders of the liberated souls, who are constant companions of the Lord and are protected by Lord Balaram and Krishna, are they all doing well in their respective functions? It's an interesting way to put it, in their respective functions. How are you today in your respective function, dear? Do they, who are all eternally bound in friendship with us, remember our welfare?
Okay.
Is
now,
Lord Krishna... Yeah,
well, this is the big, now tell me about Krishna, right?
Is Lord Krishna the personality of Godhead, who gives pleasure to the cows, the senses, and the brahmanas, who is very affectionate towards his devotees? Is he enjoying the pious assembly at Dwarkapuri, surrounded by friends?
Yeah. So this is the big question, right? And he knows he knows the answer is not going to be a good one, but he has to ask.
The original personality of Godhead, the enjoyer, and Balaram, the primeval Ananta.
Hold on. Let's read this commentary.
Okay. Text 34.
Text 34. That here's how Yudhishthira understands who is Krishna, right? He's that person that when he thinks of Krishna, he's not thinking of some big judge, right? Some jealous God that's condemning people to hell and all that. He who gives pleasure to the cows, he who gives pleasure to the senses and to the brahmanas, he was very affectionate towards his devotees. How is he doing? So here's the commentary. Here in this particular verse, the Lord is described as 4 things. Bhagavan, which you could say means in the possessor of all opulences. Govinda, the one who gives pleasure to the senses or pleasure to the cows, both. Brahmanya, the one who's giving pleasure to the brahmanas. And Bhaktavatsala, the one who's just very kind and just feels deep love for those that are devoted to him.
It's such a nicer way to envision your higher power.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We've been like coerced into worshiping God sometimes religion from the West, or our concepts of spirituality, fear-based,
right.
Coercion, worship or suffer.
So there's coercion versus attraction, right?
Yeah.
Like we were here in Dravida the other day, right? It's just like attractive.
It's attractive. Bhakta Vatsal. He gives incredible joy to his bhaktas, right?
Yeah. He is Bhagavan Svayam, or the original. So Prabhupada's going to go through these different ones. Bhagavan. He is Bhagavan Svayam, or the original supreme personality of Godhead, full of all opulences, all power, all knowledge, all beauty, all fame, and all renunciation. No one is equal to or greater than him. Okay, so that's Bhagavan. Now what about Govinda? He is Govinda because he is the pleasure of the cows and the senses. Those who have purified their senses by the devotional service of the Lord can render unto him real service and thereby derive transcendental pleasure out of such purified senses. Only the impure conditioned living being cannot derive any pleasure from the senses, but being illusioned by false pleasure of the senses, by false pleasures of the senses, he becomes servant of the senses, right? Therefore, we need his protection for our own interests. The Lord is the protector of the cows and of the Brahminical culture. A society devoid of cow protection and Brahminical culture is not under the direct protection of the Lord. Just as prisoners in the jails are not under the protection of the king, but under the protection of a severe agent of the king, right? So until we have wise leaders and until we protect the cows and really protect all the animals and all living beings, we're not under that kind of divine, we're not like taking shelter of God, but we're taking shelter of this material energy, which comes with its kicks and its laws of karma and so on. Without cow protection and cultivation of Brahminical qualities in human society, at least for a section of the members of society, at least some people have to really embody these qualities, no human civilization can prosper at any length. By Brahminical culture, the development of dormant qualities of goodness, namely truthfulness, equanimity, sense control, forbearance, simplicity, general knowledge, transcendental knowledge, and firm faith in the Vedic wisdom, one can become a Brahmana and thus see the Lord as he is. So these qualities will help us understand spirituality. These qualities will help us understand God. Want to go through them, Raghu? You there? You're muted. There you go.
My computer was about to die, and I was scrambling for the cord.
Oh, okay.
So like, oh my God, I'm going to turn off the entire show. Okay. Therefore,
So truthfulness.
Thank
right?
you.
We need to be
Yes.
truthful. We need to speak the truth, right? As soon as we stop speaking the truth, we're in anxiety. We're not capable of leading others. We're not capable of really helping others unless we can be truthful, right? And you know, I think we all think of ourselves as truthful people, but you got to go deep with this one, right? You got to really dig into truthfulness. Equanimity, having an even mind under the different circumstances. Sometimes things are, you know, hot. Sometimes things are cold. Sometimes people are saying nice stuff about us. Sometimes people are saying not so nice stuff about us. Sometimes, you know, we're being successful in what we're trying to do. Sometimes things just aren't going our way. I can keep an even mind on it all. That's the Brahminical quality, you know. Sense control, right? That I'm not being pulled by my senses to do this and that, but I can say my mind and my senses are separate from me. They're not always working in my interest. They may be calling for me to do this right now, but I can control that and not respond to it. Forbearance, which I think is another word for tolerance. Right? The way that this world works is sometimes things are going to be unpleasant, and it's not for me to become upset about it and just complain about it, constantly trying to change things that don't necessarily need to be changed. I can tolerate them, you know. Simplicity. I don't need so much, you know. I can to be happy in life doesn't require so much. We can keep it simple. You know? He says general knowledge and transcendental knowledge, jnana and vijnana, right? And so here, the way that he explained, generally I would explain jnana and vijnana differently. I say jnana is knowledge about what is this world, who am I, what is my nature, what is God, and how do these three relate to each other. And then transcendental knowledge would be that I realize that, not that I just know it theoretically, but that the understanding is so deep that I see the world through this knowledge. And then firm faith in the Vedic wisdom, right? That there's a whole wealth of wisdom here. And because I have that cool head that's being described up here, I can represent that. You know, I can live according to it and represent it. These are the Brahminical qualities. Prabhupada's saying is if we don't have people in this world, in our nation, in our country, in our family, in our lives, then we're going to be misled and we're going to suffer. We need to have people that have this kind. We need to recognize these qualities in people. We need to cultivate these qualities. We need to recognize who has them. We need to be able to take guidance from such people, and not just from anyone that can get the most votes, right? But however they manage to pull that off. All right. Is that okay, Raghu?
That was great.
Okay.
I'm just, I feel just good just listening today.
You just want to
I
listen?
want to listen to you.
All right. I
I'm
want to hear. I
talking
want
too
to
much.
listen to you.
Makeover Monday means it's like I talk too much.
Okay.
I'm talking too much. I'm going to change.
Now, Prabhupada's going to continue in this comedy, but he comes up with a really interesting analogy. You ready?
Yeah.
We'll read and then we'll hit that analogy. He says, and after surpassing the Brahminical perfection, like all these qualities are just, you know, like what it means to be a good or relatively wise human being. But after surpassing the Brahminical qualities, one has to become a devotee of the Lord.
That's good to explain because there's Brahmins that aren't bhaktas.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And means they have that culture of knowledge. They're deep. They're what are the qualities of the Brahmins?
Well, we
got that verse? You got that verse?
This verse was coming from but you're speaking of samodhammas tapasocham kshantir arjavam evacha jnanam vijnanam astikyam brahma karma svabhavajam.
So it describes the qualities of the Brahma. Samadhamma tapa. This is the
self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness. These are the natural qualities by which the Brahmas work.
So you can have all those and still not be practicing bhakti.
Yeah.
Please continue.
Right. But they're a great platform to practice bhakti from. So he says, after surpassing the Brahminical perfection, one has to become a devotee of the Lord so that their loving affection in the form of proprietor, master, friend, son, or lover, those are the different varieties of rasa that one can have, of taste or particular mood of devotion, that will manifest. The stage of a devotee which attracts the transcendental affection of the Lord does not develop unless one has developed the qualities of a Brahmana, as above mentioned. Unless you become truthful, unless you become even-minded, unless you're self-controlled, unless you're tolerant, unless you're simple, and so on, then that he calls it transcendental affection of the Lord, or bhakti, divine love. That won't rise until at least you've developed those qualities. The Lord is inclined to a Brahmana of quality, not of false prestige, right? Because people started taking this Brahman thing. I was born in a family of Brahmanas, so therefore I'm a Brahmana, and you should appreciate that and grant me special privileges.
My caste.
And,
that's my caste.
But here probably saying it's the quality, it's not the false prestige. Those who are less than a Brahmana by qualification, unless I've developed these qualities, those who are less than a Brahmana by qualification cannot establish any relation with the Lord, just as fire cannot be kindled from raw earth unless there is wood, although there is a relation between wood and the earth. Okay, so that's an interesting analogy, right? Whatever's there in the tree is there in the ground, right? But you can't light the ground on fire until all the ingredients in the tree that are going to become fire are there in the ground. But it has to transform in a particular way and take on the form of wood, and then it can be lit onto fire, right? And similarly, those qualities of the devotee that are Brahminical qualities, they're within us. But until they've transformed in a particular way and manifest in us, right, we won't really be able to have deep spiritual connection. They're there, but there needs to be a transformation to take place.
I like that analogy.
And then that fire can come out, right? It's really good, isn't it? I like that.
Live from NPR, this is Lakshmi Singh.
Is that how you feel today?
That's what I'm feeling like today. I'm feeling like Lakshmi Singh.
But she says it Lakshmi, I think. Right?
Lakshmi Singh. Okay.
Since
great.
Since the Lord is all perfect in himself, there could not be any question of his welfare, right? In other words, you're saying, how's Lord Krishna doing? But in one sense, it's a question that doesn't even need to be asked. Since the Lord is all perfect in himself, there could not be any question of his welfare. And Maharaj Yudhishthira refrained from asking this question. He didn't ask about his welfare. Let's see, what did he ask again? He said, is Lord Krishna the Supreme Personality of Godhead who gives pleasure to the cows, the senses, and the Brahmanas, and who is very affectionate towards his devotee? Is he enjoying the pious assembly at Dwarkapuri surrounded by his friends? Okay. But he simply inquired about his residential place, Dwarkapuri, where pious people assemble. The Lord stays only where pious people assemble and takes pleasure in their glorifying the supreme truth.
He only stays where pious people are assembled.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah, and by here pious, meaning people that, you know, that they're focused on the right stuff, and they develop these good qualities. That's what he's interested in. The Lord stays only where pious people assemble and takes pleasure in their glorifying the supreme truth. Maharaj Yudhishthira was anxious to know about the pious people and their pious acts in the city of Dwarka. But he knows deep down the answer is not going to be good. He's seen the bad omens. He's looking at Arjuna's face. He knew that Narada earlier said that, you know, Krishna's going to go. He knows it's coming up.
Pope Pius the Fourth.
Is that what you
all the
think of
popes
when
were
you heard
called,
Pius?
yeah, because a lot of the popes have that title, pious, and some of them weren't that pious.
True.
They had the name Pope Pius.
Okay. Next verse, 35,
Yeah.
36.
The original personality of Godhead, the enjoyer, and Balaram, the primeval Lord Nanta, are staying in the ocean of the Yadu dynasty for the welfare, protection, and the general progress of the entire universe. And the members of the Yadu dynasty, being protected by the arms of the Lord, are enjoying life like the residents of the spiritual sky.
So this is an interesting commentary too. As we have discussed many times, the personality of Godhead Vishnu resides within each and every universe in two capacities, namely Garbhodakshaya Vishnu and Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. Should we get into that again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a few minutes. Let's
So-
talk about Garbo and Shiro. The
Garbo.
difference between.
And then there's Maha as well, or Karna. So
Yeah.
there's 3 Vishnus. Prabhupada's talking about 2 of them.
This is
But-
good trivia. Try to write this down, you guys.
Okay.
3 types of Vishnu.
So within the unlimited spiritual sky, there's one section of it. In one section, it's unlimitedly huge, but in another section, it's relatively small compared to the unlimited spiritual sky.
This will be on the final exam at the time of death. If you get it wrong, there's I'm sorry, samsara again.
All right.
Next week's Trivia Tuesday.
And so within that material realm, which is incalculably huge to us, it fills up with water. And Mahavishnu, or Karna Dakshai Vishnu, same name for 2 names for the same. You see, Krishna's going to stay there in the spiritual realm, running around with the cows, running around with the girls, running around with his friends, running around with his family, and he's simply engaged in spiritual, loving adventure. But because certain living entities want to try to live separately from him, enjoy separately from him, in a sense, take the central position, we're given this illusory realm wherein Lord Vishnu lies down in that water. And it's said that from the pores of his skin come unlimited universes. With each breath, they go out, and then with the inhale, they come back in. And so within each one of those bubbles in the water, each one is a universe. And again, that fills up with water. And Lord Vishnu, as Garbo Dakshai Vishnu, lies down on that water. And Garbo refers to the navel. From his navel grows the lotus flower upon which Lord Brahma is born, the first living entity there that will engineer that universe. But then the third, so that you have Mahavishnu is the first one in the big, huge material realm. From his pores come unlimited universes, and then the second
From his pores,
Vishnu,
like
from
his little
pores.
sweat from his things, is an entire universe.
Yeah, the bubble coming, right?
Like a blood. You ever sweat? Imagine it's like Horton Hears a Who, right? His Horton Hears a Who. There's a whole universe.
You're
of
connecting
sweat.
Horton Hears a Who with a lot of stuff, Raghunath. So yeah,
You know, it's a very, very spiritual book.
okay. And so then within each one of those universes, he's lying down. Lord Brahma is growing from his navel. Lord Brahma engineers that universe, and all of the species and all of the living entities, all their bodies come from the engineering of Lord Vishnu. And then into each one of those bodies, he enters a third time as Kshirodakshai Vishnu, or as the Paramatma within the heart. So Krishna's just doing his past tense, but to manage the whole thing, he manifests in these 3 different ways, all the material realm. But we just need to lose interest with that material world. We need to take interest back with him, back in the spiritual realm, and we can let it all go, return, you know? And that's where you cue up the music, rather.
That is the spot right there. Well, the material world's a tough place, isn't it, Kaustubha?
It is a tough place, you know? And when our consciousness rises, it'll seem blissful. But until it does, we struggle here.
Say something else.
We'll get over it, though. We'll get over it. We're still going through that crazy astrological period. We'll get past it.
When does it end again?
Okay, you're looking at your watch. At least that third eclipse in a row, I think, is July 5th.
Okay, July. We got till July 5th.
Hang in there, people.
Thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks to coming to The Price is Right. All you need to do is desire. Isn't that amazing? All you need to do to desire your spiritual life, all you need is to desire your spiritual life, and you get your spiritual life. It's that easy, but you just got to desire it, which means I have to get very focused on what I want in this world. Thanks for everybody joining us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and various other platforms. Thanks for everybody joining us on Zoom that I didn't say. Good morning to. And Lori Pag is teaching yoga today at 10 a.m. Tomorrow, Kumi at 6 p.m. And Jamuna Jaya, who's our new yoga director. I didn't even tell you that yet.
I didn't know that, but
she's our new yoga director.
Enthusiastic one. That's awesome.
Because she's got a good attitude, that lady.
She does.
And of course, we have a Dravida. These are all for Patreon members. Jump on the Patreon party. Wisdom of the Sage patreon.com/wisdom of the sages, and unlock various goodies by joining that whole community. And it's really it's becoming like a village now, and it's really exciting.
And we're going to have that guy in the village that tells the stories and chants all the verses on Friday.
Yes, Dravida is our village sadhu. I'm so happy about that. And now it's the end of the show. This is the time of the show where we start to sing